ability to think, uh, how do you say, in synchronicity, because a lot of times we get together and we write stuff. We write grant proposals together, um, and so we have this. We develop. We know when you dance tango. When you dance tango, you just improvise, uh, and you just go, and it's beautiful, and everybody follows. The couple follows each other. The girl and the man. Well, Tim and I, when we think and when we write stuff, it's like dancing tango. We don't have to speak to each other where we're going. We just follow. And so me, I told him, I said, we're so natural together. I never met this guy, but we're working together for like 2 years. And he's in Toronto, I'm in Montreal, and I said, we always work together, and it's so well. We're so natural. I said, we're just playing jazz or dancing tango, and it's like you don't have to prepare because you're saying I have to prepare. You don't have to prepare, and he has a lot of information about.
You're making us jealous. You're making us jealous, man. Me and Hugo here. We're very jealous of Tim.
Now I want to
Wow.
I hope you'll have a chance to meet him. He's a very nice and sweet guy. He's amazing. I really like him. Yeah, I enjoy a lot working with him on different things. For a while, I didn't I didn't even see his face. He was like just a name, and he was shy, camera shy, a little bit camera shy. Um, but in the end, yeah, he got more confident. So it's maybe this, he's not very like, who are these guys? I didn't prepare. Anyway, but what I did, I studied the
It's
threefold.
okay.
I took some time to study threefold and read and watch some videos, presentations about the project, and it seems for now it seems okay. There are some things that I need to clear still, um, to understand what is really their game. I found something in the governance that was a little odd, and not so open, but but it looks good for now. It looks like they have a nice governance and organizational model, and the economics also looks pretty solid in terms of what we expect from a peer-to-peer thing. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Welcome, Danilo, my dear friends. Welcome, Walter. It was a pleasure to have you here first time, Walter.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you. How are you doing,
Hello.
guys?
Hello. Mhm.
Danilo?
Yeah. Hello, man. Yeah. And well, we were talking here about jealousy of truly human connections, right? When we really feel connected to each other, and because there's a guy that TB is really intertwined cognitively, right? TB, it's called Tim, and he already invited him to be here with us, and he's in the mailing list, by the way. But he didn't come along. Still, he's a very busy guy, right, TB? And TB is the guy that feels that he would be the nice, let's say, a partner, or would be the nice to couple with, to make the whole cast experience happen with Hugo, and Hugo being the guest, right? So the idea here is TB. TB, please invite Hugo to be your guest now. Please, we can record this,
I don't get
so we
jealous of
can
the
we can
tango. The
invite
tango is not
live.
for three, man.
Go on, man, go on. Yeah, because he was talking about the tango dance, right? That you really need to be, yeah, that body thing, right? Really intertwine and make it together. Yeah. But Tibi, please, man, make the invites for you for Hugo now to be your guest and your OCast experience.
Formal, please.
What do you mean for today
Is
or?
that a proposal, man? Is not a marriage proposal. It's not a marriage
Yeah,
proposal.
it
It's
seems
just
like
invitation. It's, okay.
you really have to draw me a letter.
But what do you mean? What do you mean? Is that for today, like for today format? You mean to structure like that, or for the
No, I
next?
don't think so. Yeah, we have to onboard here Walter. He's a very smiling guy. I don't know why he just close up his cam, but if he opens up, you're gonna see you guys are gonna understand what I'm saying. He's a very smiling guy. So here you go. It's better to see
I'm
you smile, man.
yeah, thank you. I'm switching to my iPad. When I turn the iPad, I will put the camera on. Okay, just a second.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, but Tibi, please, man, it's just an invite. Today, we have some things to talk about the formal bridges, right? Or the transitional bridges. Or, that the question that you light it up, you light it up last sync. Uh, so I don't know. We can make a type of OCast experience today, but I don't think that is the trend here. But it's going to be nice to have you register your invitation for Hugo in this in our in our weekly sync here.
Yes. Well,
So
so
please,
yeah.
I'm going to shut up and
I thought that that by having Hugo and Tim would be very nice. And actually, I told him about Hugo and biomimicry and all that. And Tim is something that has looked at these things, and he really thinks in terms of natural systems and gets inspired by how nature works. I think it's a nice fit. It's a nice fit. Yeah, I think would be a nice.
yeah.
Uh, I'll get him in. It's just it's not that
And
he's very busy.
you guys can do and you have to have a digital wallpaper of a sauna, right? You can do this whole cast experience in a sauna with Hugo, right? And, the sa- the sa- the sauna that you're building. It's going to be nice, man. Walter, please, man. We're not here. This is not. We're just a very good mood today, right? In a very good mood, so we're just expanding here. And this whole cast experience, it's related to Utopia, that you know, Utopia. Walter knows Utopia, so I think he knows about OCast experience too, the OCast experience. So it's not something strange for him, right? So this encounter here between Tibi, Tiberius, and Hugo, uh, man, we're months trying this to happen. You see, so it's almost like a proposal, right? So that's why I'm kidding around here with Tibi. This is so to make this happen. So that's it. Well, guys, let's welcome Walter. It's going to be nice to hear from him, to get to know Walter and what he's doing here. And of course, our friend, our very dear friend, Danilo. I don't know if Florian going to make it. I think Florian is going to make it. Let's see.
Yeah, he told me
And
he
let's
would.
go.
Can you check?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go. We already started about this. So feel free, man, to introduce yourself, share a word about you and this planet, and let's go. Let's start this. Let's kickstart this.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Let me just So very nice meeting you. We founded. It's kind of a fund, an impact fund, focusing on regeneration of the planet, not only environmental but also social. It's called Manifesta Capital. I'm saying it's kind of a fund because we through the process we figure out that it was more of a company or a holding company than a fund, because we decided that we realized actually that the entrepreneurs, we are focused in activists entrepreneurs, not only entrepreneurs that set up companies that has impact as their purpose, but the entrepreneur itself was a pretty heavy activist in the cause that they are setting up the company. We thought that was like a huge difference for us, especially because these small companies, they change a lot. And when they do it, we wanted to make sure that they're going to change in the purpose, in the cause, and not only like when they're hard times happens, or not only the hard times, like that hard decisions that normally you have to take. We knew that because they were very like activists, they would take the decision to improve the cause, not only to look at profits or something like that. So we thought this part was extremely important. And these kind of entrepreneurs, these hardcore activists, they are very good in the cause. They know the product a lot. They are like a big voice in that cause, but they are not, how can I say, business is not their strength. It's almost like a consequence. They set it up a business because they thought it was the best thing to do, but they didn't spend their whole life like managing companies. So we realized that in Manifesta, we had to come up with a bunch of areas to support their business and to work with them, like not only like finance, governance, commercial, branding, digital marketing, growth, operation, logistics, all the areas that we know this company needs to scale. They have like very good products. They struggle, most of them, all of them, for years. Some of them has had their company for 10 years, other 4 or 5 years. And they managed to keep the company like not successful, but alive. But they didn't know how to prepare the company to scale. And that's where we Manifesta get on board. So we kind of believe in these three pillars for our project. First is the entrepreneur, like being an activist. The second one is the consumer. We like to call them a conscious consumer, because we believe that the consumer there that is growing a lot, it's already there, but it's growing a lot. It's this consumer that just realize or is ready to realize that their consumption can change the world. Like all of them, like Banco Maria, one of the companies that we are in. Why, if you are worried about the environment, if you are worried about the social, why you put your money in a traditional bank? And you can say this about everything, like cosmetics, the shampoo and everything you buy, or the food or the restaurants you eat. And it seems like pretty basic, this, but it's not. It's funny, like a lot of people, very activist, the way they consume, especially in Brazil, it doesn't reflect they are activists, but they're ready to do it. Sometimes they don't do it because they can't find the products, because they don't trust the products. But when this happens, our bet is that they're going to change their consumptions to these regenerative companies. That's what we believe. And the third pillar is the regeneration. Like, it's also basic, especially for us here. But it's important to say, because we see three kinds of impacts. We see like a destructive impact. That's how companies used to do forever, everything. Like, you guys remember 5 years ago, it was not a shame for a company saying that their main goal is profit, because their social is to generate jobs and pay taxes. So they're already doing their social part there. So they think that profit, it's all the company needs to care. And that drove us here. In the last 10 years, let's say, this beginning to change. ESG, conscious capitalism, everything. But we call this initiative, they're great. It's something that we really need. But they're kind of trying to moderate their impact. They still have a huge impact in the environment, and in social, like amplifying inequalities and everything. But they're starting to change their practice, starting to choose better suppliers and everything. So we call this like a moderate impact. And we like to focus in the regenerative impact. It's like you are going to not only stop doing the destructive things, but you're going to try to regenerate. So like finding suppliers that have the same mindset, organizing the whole company in this mindset. So that's what we're looking for. Today we have 7 companies in our portfolio. 2 are cosmetic companies, Pachamama and Vinicius. It's two female entrepreneurs, extremely like activists. Pachamama has 10 years. It's pretty focused in feminism and all these issues that comes by with. And Vinicius comes from a lady called Vera Frois, that she's probably one of the greatest experts in Brazil in medicinal plants. So she knows all the tribes. She knows pretty much almost all the plants, the medicinal plants from Amazonia, and she does a lot of courses and everything. It's an unbelievable lady. Like, she's like a being of light. It's amazing how she is. And that's the 2 cosmetic companies. We have 3 companies in the food business. One is Clube Orgânico. They connect the small suppliers of organic food with selling baskets to final consumers, but also they are, how can I say, in the grocery stores, they are taking care of the organic food, fruits, vegetables, and fruits and vegetables, and a little bit of other products. So it's like, because grocery store now, it's like almost like shopping malls. They lease the spaces. So they are in 20 something grocery stores with the space of the organic. It's from Clube Orgânico. Then we have Marchezinho, that Florian is also a partner. It's a market and slash bistro from which all the products are from small producers, local, and it's amazing what they did. It's a bunch of French guys, extremely activists as well. And Prana is a vegetarian restaurant in Jardim Botânico. and the food, it's like it's delicious. 90% of their public are not vegetarian, so it's something that called our attention, like how can you do vegetarian food like even better than food that are not vegetarian. So I'm vegetarian, and I was a client for like years, and it was like a no-brain decision as well. And we have like a fintech in the third area that we have Banco Maria. There is a financial service that was born in Favela da Maré. It's a huge slum here in Rio. And now it's in São Paulo and in one of the states in the Northeast as well. Very, very activist as well, Alex, the founder, and extremely recognized in this segment. It's probably one of, there's not a lot of social fintechs, and like Banco Maria, I think they are unique as well. And BVM 12, that was born from Banco Maria as well. BVM 12, it's like a stock market for impact business. And it's a startup. It was founded last year. And what they're trying to do is, here in Brazil, you can have like do an IPO with equity crowdfunding. The CVM, the SEC from Brazil, CVM, already allowed you to do that. But you cannot have a secondary market, like the stock market per se. You only can like do the IPO in this equity crowdfunding, and then you can only sell for people who has already bought. You cannot have an open market. But a CVM created a sandbox for innovations, and BVM 12, our company, put in a project there to allow this secondary market, and we're very confident that I think we're gonna be able to do it. So the idea is to have a competitor from B3, from the stock market in Brazil, but only with regenerative business. That's why I think, because this access stocks market are extremely hard to make it work because of liquidity. Why are you gonna buy some stock in another bolsa, how we call here, instead of buying from B3 like Bovespa? You have a lot of liquidity, you have a bunch of products, but not impact. So like our thesis is not only regular people, but also funds, family trusts, and everything. They are kind of wanting to put some part of their money in stocks, but impact stocks, and they don't have any options. So sorry, I think I talk a little bit too much, but it's just to give you an overview of Manifest and what we have been doing. And feel free to ask any question, of course.
Oh, that was quite a ride, man. Quite a ride, Walter. Talk a little bit about you, because we were fighting that you're going to start to talk about you, then Manifesta. Say a little bit about you.
Of course. So I was always like I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I founded a couple of companies during college. One, it was a security consulting company, Stormy. But after college, I started to work in our family business. That was in 2001, and I spent almost 15, 16 years there. It was focused in real estate. In the middle of that, in 2006, I spent 2 years in Boston. I did an MBA in MIT. My graduation was in law, so I thought I needed some business background as well. And when I came back, I set it up another company to, like Obama had been elected using the internet. I always love politics. And we had a case similar here in Brazil with Gabeira, who almost won the mayor of Rio, only using internet as well. So we kind of set it up a company with the people who did the Gabeira case to get a presidential campaign. And we did. We spent a year in this project. We did a campaign for Serra in 2010. And then I came back to our business as well. We had just sold a shopping mall, and we need to reinvent ourselves and build a bunch of malls. So I spent another 5-6 years in our family business. And there was when I set it up. Like the first question was, what we had the opportunity to set it up a business now, like in 2011, 2010. For me, first, I wouldn't get up of bed just doing a business as usual. And second, I thought it was old. Like, how could we build a business like if we were in the 90s? It didn't make any sense for me. So we create a business model there that we call business arte. What is business arte? Arte like art. Is the fusion of these two words, like of the word of the business with all this certainty, like the certainty of the business, like profits, things have to work and everything, but also art, like the essence, the purpose, the impact, the subjective, and all of this part, almost like our two parts of our brains, like left and right. And I did this because I was in a family business. I couldn't just like transform our business in a true impact business there. I had my brothers and my father. But I thought that with this fusion of these two areas, I could do it because we still are going to have profits, but we would have profits because we're doing good. So like our challenge is how to build a mall that when you get out of the mall, when you visit, you are going to get out more smart, with more culture, with more education, more healthy and stuffs like that. So we're trying to do things like that in all areas. Like we were a huge business and bunch of areas, and we're trying to do this in human research, in environmental, and like changing. All here in Brazil, it's very common to you do a sorteio. I forgot how you say sorteio of cars in Christmas. Like you get a ticket and you can win that car. So like, no, okay, let's take this out and start doing like social Christmas and everything. So it was an amazing ride. But Brazil had a huge crisis here in 2013, 14, 15. And we were with a lot of leverage, like building all these malls. So we almost like broke, went bankrupt. It was a very, very hard time. And we need to think like as the business, how to survive. So this whole project about business art that I spent like 4 years doing, I couldn't do it anymore because we're kind of firing a lot of people, and it was another angle. And I spent two more years in the business, like renegotiating the debts with the banks, trying to get a partner, just to make the business survive. And in 2017, I left to set up my own thing. I didn't know what was it, but I start like. I create a movement called Convergência. Because of the business art, what I learned, it's not good to be in a bubble. Like you have good things in all areas, and when you can mixture different people people with different mindsets. It seems hard, but it's extremely special, like where you can get with this mixture. And I try to bring this to everything, like in Convergência. This movement became like a bunch of other movements, like Convergência Política. We put people from the right and from the left, respectful, arguing together and trying to find solutions together. Convergência from convergence. Environmental, same thing, health, education. So we create a lot of WhatsApp groups with a lot of people that were experts in these areas from different parts. So that was great as well. Then I built up some other thing called Conecta. Conecta was like, we are doing Convergência, but in the slums. The way it worked was we found entrepreneur from this area, this extremely hard areas, and we call like a bunch of people, 100 people, to be in the plateia, in the audience, and we prepared 10 of these entrepreneurs to give 3-minute pitches, and then we divide the audience in 10 groups, and each entrepreneur spent 5 minutes in a group. We did 11 edition of those, and it was like great. It's amazing what you can help these entrepreneurs in 3 hours, like putting these people with this organization. And then I set up Manifesta. Like I told you guys, for me, Manifesta is like, it's the perfect solution for what I have been looking for my whole life, because we are extremely hard. We're extremely focused in the business. We have to structure this stuff to grow up, to scale, and we are extremely focused in the art as well, in the activism, in the propose. That's why we're looking for these activist entrepreneurs. But just like a small parenthesis, last year in the pandemic, I set it up. I also helped set it up a movement that was like amazing. It's amazing what you can do when you put people together. It's really amazing, and that's like what I've been learning in the last 10 years. And we created this União Rio to raise money to put in food for people that were in need. Like after the pandemic, they couldn't work, so they are kind of literally starving, and to build hospital beds, because that's all you need, right? Like you don't have a lot of CTI and respirators and everything. That's how the pandemic it's worse. And like in 4 days, we raised 5.5 million to put 50 hospital beds in UFRJ. It's a public hospital in Fundão, and we never stopped. Like as of today, we raised 98 million. We gave away 370,000 food baskets for these 307,000 families of Rio de Janeiro, and we built 400 and something hospital beds, and it was great. And it was putting everybody together. We put like businessmen, bankers, people from the communities, artists, and everything with only one purpose: how can we mitigate the effects of the pandemic? So it's this kind of a big part of what I believe, like put people together without arguing about the things that we spend so much time arguing, and I still don't know why. Just have one focus, everybody working together in this focus. We can do, like we did more than the government. The government couldn't make 450 hospital beds. The government didn't give away like almost 400,000 like food baskets. So it's what we can do as a civil society if we organize and have like a unique focus.
Wow, that was great.
That's
man.
it.
Yeah, that was great. We have a lot to talk about. Wow, we have a bunch of things. I think we're going to need at least 3 or 4 gatherings like this to understand Walter's ecosystem. All his life, man, it's fantastic. I want to let's give a welcome to Hannah. Hannah, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hugo invited
Oh,
me.
it's a huge,
Hmm?
yeah, it's a huge pleasure to have you here. Please.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you so much. Yeah, I work with Hugo trying to help spread all this amazing work that he's doing and help spread it to the regenerative movement and beyond. And I'm really trying to work in how do we define regenerative finance and how do we try to evolve the whole financial system to help repair the planet. So that's why I'm here, and lovely to meet you all, and just wanted to sit in on the conversation and learn more. So thank you. And I'm calling in from Northern California.
Hey, Hannah, thanks for
yeah.
being here.
So, Hugo, if you want to, you can say something about her, right? And we
Yeah, for
hear
sure.
directly from her. So,
For sure. So I met Hannah in the regenerative movement in general. Like since we met, she's one of these um, super interesting people that I think has been working on weaving all around the world and trying to put all her positive input in how to add value in general. So I think she's a nature lover as well as we are. And as a matter of coincidence, she did also biomimicry, like a one program with one of my mentors. So when we met and we were talking about not just weaving networks but also regeneration and biomimicry, we thought that it was very important to bring like these different kind of narratives. So she's also an amateur of Alexander Humboldt, and I think she enjoys a lot the fact that global people, global travelers, and such as it happens in this group, and she's in the edge in between, I would say, finance, but something very grounded that is kind of a regenerative agriculture and trying to help people on the ground. And she's also on the conversation, the global conversation and finance, trying to bring this world together. I have the description of the Hawaiian people. When they navigate, they see something and then they bring the island to them instead of them going to the island navigation. And I think Hannah is this kind of people that sees the island and then bring the island to her. And I thought that it was very important to bring some feminine energy. And she's also been putting in the conversation of the global regenerative collab, the trees and the mother trees, and how to understand the forest as an entity on its own. So she lives in nature and she's always in awe because of the nice things that she sees in nature. So I think she's a great addition into our group.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very sweet intro. I appreciate that. And I put my email and my website. The second one is spelled right. Abundant Earth Foundation is the organization I run to try to raise support for regenerative and permaculture practices around the world. And within that, we have a lot of discussions about how to try to use money for good and reframe the financial system to regenerate the planet. So yeah, this shows a little bit about us and the over 100 projects that we've supported in the last 3 years. And we were working on the Weaver Network as a networking tool and platform to help connect all these projects. And when I discovered Seven Vortex, I'm like, this is what's been missing. This is what I've been visualizing. And so really trying to help Hugo just bring it up to the next level so that more people can be taking advantage of the amazing tools he's helped bring together. So yeah. And yeah, the trees, the forest, and then the ocean is also one of my main passions. And so we try to really support the blue economy and try to use entrepreneurial efforts to change the world. So where we're at.
Very nice. May I intervene?
Please, yeah, I'm done.
I'm asking a
Thank you.
question. Yeah. Well, I would like to go back to Walter for a minute, and then I also have some questions for you, Anna. But you know, we're having this regular meeting here, and we're thinking about wealth. We're thinking about new type of wealth, and we are thinking about processes of transformation, change, transfer of wealth from one form to another. And I'd like to know from Walter, how do you see with Manifesta Capital, what is the new wealth that this is producing? It is a hybrid model, right? And it goes a little bit beyond corporate social responsibility, the CSR. And I would like you to maybe try to articulate what is the new type of wealth that this initiative is creating.
Perfect. Thank you.
But if you need an introduction of what is new wealth, how we think about new wealth and wealth transfer, maybe me or Vinny or somebody else could help you.
That would be great. That would be great. Florian talked a little bit about, but that would be great if you could.
Yeah, I think that we can make a little put it in a nutshell. Let's say what we're trying to do here is to make a movement from human-centric to life-centric. This is one of the big movements that we're trying to do here, and trying to do this movement, this huge movement. We're calling out the Anthropocene era, right? We're calling out the Anthropocene era and trying to re-understand ourselves, eco-localizate ourselves as parts, as intrinsic parts, a symbiotic intrinsic part of the complexity of this planet. But we're trying to do this movement looking into two threads, two movements, two big movements in a human-centric view. It's the peer-to-peer movement and the regenerative movement. So we're trying to do this movement this way. And we're not only doing theoretically the movement, we're making it happen, as Hannah is making it happen, as Hugo is making it happen, as Tibi is making it happen. Everyone here is making it happen in various ways, right? But we want to understand if we can, as a species, re-signify what is wealth for us, right? Because this is so embedded, is so embedded. Culture is we have a notion of wealth that's so culturally embedded as something exterior from our homeostasis body, or understand as a society as a whole, that we're captured by these macro narratives that all the wealth that we're actually producing as societies, as a species, has to have this exploration mode relation with the planet, and not only the planet but all over the species and people, even us, right? We turn out to be, we became product for ourselves. If we're talking here about social media, the great platforms like Facebook, Instagram, etc. Well, the social dilemma, right? That famous documentary in Netflix. So I think that we're trying to do here is not only talk, we're doing the talk and the walk, right? So as we talk and walk, we are critically looking all this for this big movement to not only to see ourselves in a big picture, right? And to really make this transition to understand ourselves in the big picture of life, in the planets, in the galaxy, in the universe, and so on. I think that's, I don't know if you guys want to comment a little bit, Tibi or Hugo. I think that summarizes a little bit for Walter to respond to you, or even Danilo.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. So I think since the beginning of my time, since I was very young, I thought a lot about how to change things, right? Like that question, how to change the world, how to improve the world. Like you look at the world, you see that it's not working, and you try to find your part on it. How can you do it to change something? And I didn't have a lot of maturity. I don't know why, but maybe because of my family. But I deep dive during years in this business part of the world. Like our company was very big, so I was dealing with all the investment bankings and stock markets and everything, and kind of knowing how this part of the world functions from within. The experience at MIT as well. So like business is something that I dedicated most part of my life. And it was only natural to try to change things from the business perspective. That's what we're trying to do with Manifesta. Like what we believe is when you can have a business that regenerates. You really can. It's not easy. It's not ESG. It's much deeper than that, and it's open. We don't have the answer how to do it. Like it's something that, like another project, the Eco Villa, also with Florian. It's not ready. This project of how can you build a house, a condominium or whatever, there is really regenerative. We have some clues, we have some idea, but which materials to use, how to build these houses, how to build the community around the houses. Like you have Eco Villa, like a bunch of them, and you have the traditional condominiums, like but the fusion of these two, and maybe you can have like in another country, but if you are doing in Rio, it's one project. If you're doing the south of Brazil, it's another project. If you're doing the northeast, so it's not like a model that it's ready. Oh, this is gonna be the residence, the regenerative residence that we believe. This is not ready, and it's not ready in any business. So that's what we're trying to do in Manifesta, to figure this out. So like in cosmetics, it's extremely hard thing because it's mostly used for aesthetics, right? And we are not doing this. We're doing our cosmetic business are all therapeutics. So it's kind of, instead of going to the drugstore, you can buy these essential oils and a lot of things. All of the things we sell is natural, 100% natural and therapeutic. But as of today, we don't control the suppliers. So we don't know how they are doing. And the dream of the entrepreneur, Carol, it's not only to control, it's not the best word, but to know who the supplier is. Are they planting in an agroforest this product that they are selling us? Can we put some small operations in prisons? And that's that project that she wants very much to do it. So it's kind of the package it's not enough to compensate. How can we do returnable packages? Like, so you zero your trash, let's say like this. It's extremely challenging. It's hard as hell. The money to pick it up, it's more expensive. So it's kind of, that's the challenge that we're trying to do in all this business, like trying not only to zero the trash, but also to find suppliers from like agriculture, a small family lands that, or cooperatives that are producing in the right way as of how we know it today. And another good example, talking a little bit about finance, is the Banco Maria. Like Banco Maria started to solve a very specific problem. Like people from these communities, to pay a bill, they had to spend 3-4 hours of their day because they have to take 2-3 buses to go to some place to be able to pay the bill. So he just put something extremely simple together, like it's a financial service. But and that's the good thing about betting on the activists and not on the product, because the first thing he started to realize is, first, financial service doesn't change anything, and these people needed a lot more. So he started to evolve the business with something he calls social score, as of like the banks do the social credit, the credit score, the score of credit, that's normal in the bank. He's doing the social score. So he's trying to build something that with the informations of their apps or of interviews and everything, how each client is in the social score and what can we do to improve this vulnerability score, or this social score. So sometimes they need food. So we're going to partner with some companies that want to donate food. There's a lot of companies doing this. Sometimes they need education. Sometimes it's health. Sometimes it's small loans to put up, to set it up their business. Sometimes to learn how to set it up a business. So what Banco Maria's position itself to do it, it's to kind of understand deeply what are the needs of these people and partner with partners that want to supply some of these needs to improve their social score. So it's what we're trying to do. It's not ready. We don't know the answers, but we joined a group of people that want to do this very badly and really want it, and we're trying to figure out how to do it. I don't know if I explained, but if you...
Well, I can brainstorm a little bit. Maybe we can unpack that kind of thing. So you are, from what I understand, an amplifier, because you are providing a key resource within capitalism to scale some economic operation, right? So you're funding, okay, and from what I understand, there is a sort of a wealth that these operations nurture, which is the consciousness of a better future, let's say, or through different entrepreneurial initiatives. I think what they cultivate is an awareness. It's a consciousness, which may translate into market share, because the value proposition is different. Buy this shampoo, and it's not just any product, right? It has been designed with this idea in mind that it'll be, let's say, eco-friendly, right? So you're associating a sort of awareness to a product or to daily activities or a service. So I guess apart from being companies and making dealing with money, which is the classical capitalist notion of wealth. Okay, I think they're also nurturing this kind of awareness, which is also wealth. It's more intangible, but it's wealth. It's like how much aware people in your community are about the environment, and the more awareness you have, the more that community will act and change its actions so that it becomes a livable environment. Maybe people will feel better there. So it's a type of wealth that you can accumulate, right? Something that you can accumulate. It's this awareness and from my opinion, listening to you, you have diversified and became a sort of a hub, and have some methods and some know-how how to deal with a crowd and set up these projects, and the connections, a web of relations with people that could actually transfer some of the wealth into this. As a wealth transfer, what I see is that when you talk to your friends that have big businesses and banks and all this, and and entice them to use their money, old traditional wealth, and invest in these new startups. Essentially, it's a wealth transfer. It's saying let's burn money and build awareness. Okay, let's use one form of wealth or of capital and pump the other one, which is build more awareness of this situation, environmental, climate, and all that, well-being. So that's how I see it. It's just my humble analysis of how your activities connect to wealth and wealth transfer. And that's the type of wealth I identify. It's mostly a type of awareness and consciousness, rather than something more tangible.
But Tiberius, I think, well, just trying to add to your point and to Walter's idea, my perception is that he's trying to bring to the core business of companies the regenerative impact. So he's doesn't seem to me that he's burning money, but he is transforming money into regenerative impact by helping companies or people with hardcore activism in there. So he can support from a business perspective, and that is related for me to the power of the market, because if, let's say, I've been talking about life-centered design, but if you are not able to connect it to the current market, then it's very difficult to make this wealth transfer from money to something else. What Hannah is putting there, because what I was doing before, like from 2009, it was also trying to understand impact evaluation. So how can we see wealth as a system and not just as a metric that will be money? And that is very complementary to what we're doing here. But maybe you also had another question, I think, to Hannah or another perspective. So I didn't want just to change the topic. Yeah. So Hannah was telling or saying about the impact evaluation schema. So if I can, maybe that would be interesting for you, Walter, or this kind of the scoring methodology that you're talking about. And it goes, let me see, I have it in my document. And I will show you, for example, an idea on how it works for SDGs, which is something that I don't completely agree, but it will make the case for the impact evaluation system. So if we have 17 different kinds of indicators, and we take nature as a mentor, especially in the tree ring, we can see the development of, like, in business, it's very difficult to see transformation and transitioning from one side to another. So the normal thing is to have a picture, but not to see the movie in the dashboards, except you have a linear methodology. So how to visualize a system that helps you to understand the impact in many ways. So this is like the tree ring, and you are looking at it, right? Like I'm not talking without the slides. So
Yeah,
this is times. Thank you. This is time 0, like baseline, time 1, time 2, and time 3. So if we, let's say, Tiberius, if we understand wealth as like different indicators, there is not just one that is the main one, then we can include in this idea in layers. So the time and the indicators. So let's talk about the SDGs in a territory. So if you're talking about Brazil, I had this idea that the rings could be used in government. So instead of having the GDP, then you implement the SDGs, just because it is something very global and very well known, not because it's always right. So you can see, for example, if you invest in education, then you see a quicker change because of the possibility of getting conscious and building on awareness. But despite your efforts, maybe climate change will take a little bit longer. And you need to understand that this is related with this one. So you need to start investing here or here, and then that will help you to take better decisions over time. And the thing that I'm also putting together, and this is just something that I finished today, it is how to use this for understanding the territory. So I think this is like a portfolio management. And so you build a tool that helps local people to integrate reporting system, and using the vortex, as you can see, building traction, and then using the rings to understand the change and performance. So I think this is all related, and it might be just helpful for Walter or for someone else just to see this kind of possibility.
Amazing.
Yeah, it would be nice, Walter and Hannah, to see which differs the understanding of the regenerative movement that you guys are doing. What is the main difference having this background that Hugo just gave us? Because this is a way to enhance our perception, right? Our awareness of how the way that Walter is doing relates to the way that Hannah is doing, right? And because we have a little bit of sense between us here, between the guys that started this let's say this, it's not a movement, but this initiative where we're weekly making these conversations and connecting people from all over the world, and to maybe to, you see, you, Walter, and Hannah, you are perfectly strangers, right? But you are, as we are, human beings, right? So as human beings, and very sensible human beings that understand, are doing something that is urgent to do, right? It's urgent to do because there's a lot of demand. So it's going to be nice to see if you guys, if you saw what Hannah is doing, and Hannah saw a little bit of what you're doing, Walter. So it would be nice to see you guys, let's say, have a little bit of interaction to perceive what you guys have in common as intersections, right? Having these layers, having this background that Hugo provide us as a reference to evolve our conversation here. This is I'm not challenging you both, right? I'm just provoking a little bit, because I think that this is the thing about this gathering. We're not here to seduce anyone, to induce anyone. We're just trying to connect and see how our connections can make a lot, not only one sense, but make a lot of senses to what we're putting our life energy in it, right? So feel free. It's going to be nice. But I think that, I don't know, I know a little bit my friend here, Danilo. I think that Danilo wants to add something. I might be wrong, but I know a little bit of Danilo, and what
No,
you
I'm
might
okay
want to
with
add something. So
I'm okay with hearing and
you're okay,
seeing.
man? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I mean, just some initial thoughts, and let me know if my internet connection's not very good. I'll turn off my camera, but okay, thanks. Um, yeah, I think it's the connections and all of this that are so key, and to see where we overlap. And that's why I just feel like what I'm calling the 7 vortex family of tools is just so critical. But then how do we take these amazing ecosystem mind maps and actually really do something with them? Because we can quickly get so kind of overwhelmed, although for me it helps to kind of deal with the overwhelm to see where it is. But in so many of the networks that I'm dealing with, and especially the platform design networks, the people who are trying to connect us all, kind of the first step is just to even map ourselves and know who's doing what, so that we can find the points of collaboration is really what I'm all about. And of course, it's great in theory, but then as you actually bring in all of the human baggage that we bring as silly, emotional humans, kind of back to the species aspect. So I think it's just critical. And yeah, like Walter, some of the things that you were saying, and I definitely want to learn more about what you're doing. And I think it fits in very nicely with conversations that we're having with the Abundant Earth Foundation, and starting something called ReFi, the Regenerative Finance Initiative, which is just, yes, what is the definition of regenerative finance? What does that mean? You know, not just businesses that are regenerative, but how are we using finance in this whole different methodology to create abundance for everybody, and to be accelerating the healing of the planet. And so, Walter, as you're talking, my mind as a weaver is just instantly going into, okay, well, there's Lush Cosmetics, which has been working on the supply chain for a long time and has lots of methodologies. They're kind of like the SDGs. They're not perfect, you know, but there's something. And I'm actually trying to get them to use 7 vortex, because I think it would help so much. And so, yeah, I have to admit, I'm kind of just coming into the conversation, and it's still early here. I'm still waking up, but yeah, and we're at this precipice with Abundant Earth Foundation, and really with then all of the projects that we fiscal sponsor, and all of them are coming to us wanting to be hybrids, not just a nonprofit and a for-profit, not just a B corporation, but this new emergent form of business that everybody feels they need to birth. And so we're trying to help be that catalyst to hold the nonprofit side, at least in the US. You know, I mean, we support projects around the world, but you get the nonprofit tax deduction if you're in the US. So that we can do that. And then while supporting the evolution and the entrepreneurship development of all of these projects, so that they can be using business to transform. And so it's very tricky. We're just trying to navigate this, trying to bring on a good lawyer team to make sure we're doing this right, but while also really dreaming into what is possible, and then grounding that in with what we can do now. And Also lots of conversation with seeds, and I try not to get so much into the cryptocurrency, but just how do we, there's so much evolution going on in the world right now. And again, back to like the 7 vortex, how can we use that to map ourselves so that we are making the right partnerships? We no longer have time to just wait for the random connections. And that's what I've seen for years. And so I don't know where it's, I feel like there's this major nut that we're trying to crack and get in and to see. And so I'm glad to like start these conversations with you guys to see how far into the nut you've gotten. You know? So, I don't know. Those are some random thoughts.
No, amazing, Hannah. I'm very anxious of like keeping this conversation going. One of our partners in Manifesta, Pedro, he's extremely focused in the measurement of the impact. I have to admit that, especially in the beginning, it's something that I was kind of, I have this feeling, I know it's wrong, but I have this feeling that most of the measurement tools, they're made for the big business to fit in. So it's kind of, you game the game, it's something like that. Oh, I know how to measure. Now I'm gonna do what it needs to be and ESG, it's like a big proof of that, I'm guessing. And especially in the beginning, and these startups are still learning their way, I wanted to push a little bit more of how do we regenerate doing this business, like, and trying to look in all parts of the business and what can we do better in each one of them. But we feel a lot that we need these measurements as well. Like I didn't know the 7 vortex, and it's amazing. Like I love the thing with the SDG as well, and how you can plan and visualize in just one like page your whole thing. So it's like, it's something that we definitely are trying to get a little deep. And I think it's the time, because you have to measure. Like we know since the beginning that you can't regenerate without like measuring and showing how you're doing this. And it's everything, it's extremely complicated. So if you don't have a good tool to do that, you think you're doing good, but you're doing bad with this good that you're doing, because everything is systemic, and one thing kind of get in board of the other. So yes, like I would love to evolve a little bit this conversation. Let's do it.
Well, here's an invitation for you, Walter, for you, Hannah, and the invitation is related to a podcasting experience that we call OOcast, okay? So it's a decentralized podcast where you folks can energize different roles, can energize the role of host, the role of co-hosting. And as Hugo bring you here, Hannah, as a guest, let's say you're invited here. So you are already the guest, the guest of Hugo. Hugo is going to be the guest of Tibi. So you're going to be the co-guest of Tibi, right? Tibi is going to energize the role of co-host. And Walter, you can energize the role of host. So I'm not challenging you, man, but this is an invitation.
It's a pleasure.
So this is a type of, yeah, this is a type of experience that's going to be really interesting to see you guys make it happen, right? You can make it happen in a Zoom session like this and record it with your cell phones too, to have a good audio that we can edit later. We can have a post-production in it, and we put it in a 7 vortex map. We put it too in the Kumu map. So we spread this out through all podcasting platforms, right? So this is an invitation that I'm making now. And I think now, Tibi, you can't run of it, man. You can't run of it. No. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So
So
Vinicius,
if Hannah is okay with it and Walter too, is going to be nice. No, this is just a really rapid, I say, intervention of myself in this beautiful conversation that both you guys are starting to have, because we're trying to make this OCAST experience happen between Tibi and Hugo, and I found that you four are a perfect match to that happen. So what do you say, guys?
yeah.
Is that right now? You want to like kind of edit this recording into the podcast? Is that what you're saying? Or
No.
okay. I'm like, hey, I'm ready,
no,
sure.
you guys going to yeah, you guys going to have to eat, going to have to trade, have some emailing, I don't know, and and make and just make it happen, right? Record it, and let us do the rest, right? We're going to spread this out, and I don't know what you think, Hugo and Danilo. We can make this wealth transfers initiative meetings, gatherings, a way to spread out the OCAST experience. I'm thinking of that now, this very moment. So would it be nice? Because you see, the thing about the OCAST experience is that people have to understand it, right? The proposal of it. It's a decentralized way to make a podcast. So okay, the invitation is made. And Hugo, forgive me, my friend.
No, it is
I
fine.
just
It is
I thought
fine.
that was
Like
it would be a good moment.
we are all supporting the UCAS experience, and that's why we are here. And I think, as Walter said, it's a pleasure just to keep rolling on this. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to have. I have like two questions, because what I see from Tiberius and you, it is the peer-to-peer movement and idea. So somehow I think this regenerative impact or regenerative finance should be informed by the peer-to-peer perspective. Of course, also with biomimicry, but understanding how the technology could help us to bring a truly peer-to-peer approach is one side. And then to Danilo, and I would like to Florian to be around, it's also on threefold, like how threefold could actually empower this communion of different approaches, and how can we build something together? Because I think this is what Tiberius brought to the table. Like, okay, we can keep talking for many sessions, but how can we actually weave in between technologies, in between approaches, just to make it arise or to give birth to something that is adding all these perspectives.
I think mapping out, like Hannah said, about what each one is doing, it's a good way so that we have you have more time to see what others are doing, and then you can ask questions instead of just listening once and trying to figure out all the ways that we could collaborate. Basically having a space where there's the info of what everyone is doing, and maybe someone can even add like what everyone can contribute to others, and also what each one needs in the aspect of health, or like what are the things that they are in need of. So I think just with a map like that, that would make the talks a lot more dynamic.
Okay, well, let's try to do it next time. And I think this is what Hannah is also saying, that it is very difficult to get to collaborate quicker. And I think this could be a nice challenge for us, just to keep it short and sweet, and trying to add for collaboration opportunities. And what about the peer-to-peer idea, Tiberius? I mean, I understand the concept, but I don't know if there is a technology behind it. With Sensorica, we can somehow create something bigger together. How can we add value to what you're doing, Tiberius?
Yes, well, through these conversations that we have, because I see ourselves as some sort of an informal group brainstorming about wealth and wealth transfer. Through these discussions, I already import some ideas and put them into practice, because most of us here are doers, right? Are people that have taken initiatives to build something, and definitely this informs how I structure things within the Sensorica network. So in the sense, you're already helping without even knowing.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. But I put this email forward saying that how could we maybe go from this individual extraction of this shared experience towards more collaboration and trying to kind of leverage one another. I asked the questions like, how do you see helping Sensorica going beyond like something concrete that we could put in place now, like an initiative to implement these new forms of wealth. And I alluded to, different forms of wealth that we're looking at, like spiritual with Danielo, who's very sensitive to that side, and natural with you, Hugo. Yeah. But to answer your question about technology and peer-to-peer, how do you bring peer-to-peer into this kind of new type of financing? Sensorica is more about developing a sort of the practice and the methodology. So it's a sort of a socio-economic technology, and we work with people that are into tech to build our infrastructure. Okay, the tools that we need to operate. So Sensorica is not developing software. Sensorica is just a bunch of people with technical skills that work on developing our open hardware. So we're like hackers, and we hang around in a makerspace and online, and we have like hardware projects, and we're just developing the methodology of working together in a collaborative way. We're developing the economic model, incentive mechanisms, all that. So it's the social and economic side of peer-to-peer. How humans behave, how we can structure interactions, so that we can tackle problems as an organization that looks like a network rather than a pyramid. How do human beings evolve and behave in such open network type organizations? How do we structure decision making? How do you make sure that we reach our goals within a certain period of time and budget? How do we become deterministic and all that, right? So it's more like the human and economic side of it. The connection I see with this finance, what Anna and Walter is doing. I see their stuff as an accelerator or as an amplifier. The pattern is an amplifier. You put a small operation inside, then you get a bigger thing on the other side. Okay, and this amplifier has a filtering mechanism, meaning that we can only amplify, because it takes energy to amplify something. We can only amplify a certain amount of things. We can't just amplify everything, right? That would require an infinite amount of energy to put into the process of amplification. So the fuel of the energy of amplification is money. We fund these things, and by funding them, we just blow them up. We amplify them, but we have a filter. Okay, we have a filter, so we have to choose, and this is the connection to what you're doing with the metrics. Okay, to evaluate like what's the thing that is worth amplifying, and it's pretty traditionally structured. If I would have to link it to peer-to-peer, I would say I would say we can rely less on money as fuel for amplification, and we can adopt models towards more like crowdfunding. The crowdfunding approaches where the resource or the energy needed to amplify comes from a distributed pool rather than a centralized pool. Okay, so when it comes to financing, crowdfunding it's more the open peer-to-peer pattern, as opposed to banking financing, which is highly central. You get the money from one source. Crowdfunding, you get the money from different sources, and it's not just about money. You can get talent. You can get I don't know. You can get help with disseminating, distributing through social media what you're doing. So it's an amplification of voice, of narrative.
Knowledge.
Yeah. So amplifiers, they can use some other things than just money, and they can be a point of collection of these resources, like crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. Everybody feeds into that point of collection, and then a point of distribution into the things that we amplify, meaning, that's a more peer-to-peer model to this kind of thing, right? So instead of saying we have a few financiers or a bank or an organization that has, a pool of resources and then wants to use it as investment, so you distribute the source, and you distribute the source, and you also take into consideration not just money, because startups need much more than just money.
Yeah. So from my perspective, it seems that you have some patterns of collaboration, peer-to-peer collaboration, that could be useful for amplifying. And then, let's say, for example, with the rings or with some kind of visualization tools, we can see how this transformation could be happening. And then on the other side, I also see this problem of the internet in communities, because they are not completely connected. So I'm wondering how threefold could be helpful for this decentralized internet, where in communities they can make a leapfrog, and they can be part of this different kinds of economy by having the internet there. But I don't know, maybe that is just something to explore on the next conversation. But I start seeing, like, if you already have the motives, and if both Abundant Earth and your company, Walter, they are both like funneling money, I do think that this is the right time to bring money into regeneration. And the last thing that I wanted to say here, can I share a little bit? So I did this all together, and I want to just explain it a little bit. So Manifesta Capital, sorry, Walter. And just to say that regeneration, I went into what is the biological explanation. It is also related to renew, restore, and replace. So this transformation of wealth, the change of wealth and the transfer, the wealth transfer, it should be somehow related to renew, restore, and replace what we have done wrong, or what we have harmed in a way. So I like this idea of regenerative impact convergence, which is something that they brought here. And there are many ways of looking at it, but I think if we can understand, and this is what is more needed from what my understanding is how to realize that this purpose-driven business are scoring their impact, and how can we know that we are kind of renewing, restoring, and replacing what we have harmed. So let's say my brain just goes into how to complement on each other, so we can create like a full value chain or wealth transfer in an interdependent way. Sometimes I think this as well. When I was younger, it was more like the fight for independence in Mexico, and now I see it more like it is towards interdependence. So how can we co-create something that allows us to be bigger than our own, and keeping the autonomy, of course, but just wanted to explain these three parts that I put without you talking about it. Thank you again.
You know, Hugo, I think, I mean, if you've got me thinking in 7 vortex ways all the time with my meetings, and some of the things said earlier, I think the hive could really be a great tool. And like, so we were saying about what are, even within this group, kind of our needs and wants and what can we contribute, and to kind of use the hive to then map that out could be very useful. But something else that I think that could be really fun to play with, because I love that in this conversation, it's been mentioned a few times, the different forms of wealth, you know, and the 8 forms of capital is just kind of like one good basis that I think also would be very interesting to put into like the tree ring, so that people can see, okay, where am I on these other forms of financial? How am I doing with my spiritual capital? How am I doing with my social capital, with my health, with all of these things? And that people can kind of fill it in and map themselves, and more so just as a tool of thinking of these different forms of wealth and capital, so that we're not only money centric, which is such a common thing. But earlier when I said that Abundant Earth is just on this precipice along with all of our other fiscal sponsored groups, it's like we're on the precipice of what I hope is going to be dealing with very large money, really looking for better ways to transfer it and deal with it, but still having that difficult conversation. And no matter kind of where people with money are coming from and wanting to put it into good directions, it still always comes back to, well, what is their return on investment going to be? And, you know, even I think I'll get a really enlightened person that won't care about that. That's still what it returns to. And so I try to use ripple out impact instead of return on investment for ROI. But yeah, again, I just think the more of these tools of mapping for our own awareness of who else is out there, but also kind of more for self-awareness, and then to see how we can tap in. And I think a big part of this conversation is also showing businesses, and Walter, you were talking about this earlier, like, yeah, showing businesses how they can be more regenerative, and also thinking of regenerative in so many different ways, not just the planet and our social impact, but all of these, and yeah, personal impact, all of these different applications that it can be put into. And Hugo, I really like that framing, especially as with these other groups, we're trying to see, well, what is regenerative finance? And so just coming back to the basics, like you were saying, of renew, restore, and replace, like, okay, that's, you know, and I feel there's one more of just also just preservation. We have to preserve what is left. And that's my problem with the regenerative movement, is that it talks mostly about repairing, but it's like, no, God, we've got to save what is still left of the forest and the kelp forest and the coral reefs. So anyways.
Yeah, I think that we're heading. We're already we're already not only in the top of the hour. Our time is, because this is a 1 hour and a half, let's say, gathering, right? So we have we just passed that, but we're heading for the ending, and it's going to be nice just to hear a little bit from you guys. If Darius was going to just speak, right, Darius? So feel free, man. And the invitation that I made for you for make and have an OCAS experience it still remains. Okay, so please, Tibi, make your final remarks if you want, and let's
Yeah.
go, guys.
What I think I learned is that, yeah, we could call regenerative capacity a form of wealth, meaning the more of that accumulates in a community, the more this community can be impacted for its future. So we could say that, yeah, we could say that it's not just an awareness through branding and marketing of products, but also if these organizations, these startups, truly practice regenerative economic models, then you're building that regenerative capacity within your region and country, which is a wealth, which I think is a wealth of a nation or wealth of a region. And yeah, so in terms of wealth transfer, what I understood is that we could use traditional wealth like money and funnel it into these processes and grow this other type of wealth, which is the regenerative capacity, right, of a region. That's my thought.
So if anyone wants to add, aggregate anything more, I think.
Yes. Well, first, thanks a lot, guys, for the connections. That was amazing. I always like end these talks a little bit anxious of the next steps and how can we, like, I know there are a lot of hubs of groups of people doing the same thing or trying to do similar things with the same purpose, and how to like put this, because everybody spending a lot of energy in their own hub, right? How can we like separate a little bit and try to potentialize these hubs together? I think that's a huge challenge, and that's something that can be amazing. So I'm looking forward for that, and I'm here for whatever, like for the podcast. If I can bring my partner Pedro to talk a little bit about these measurements in impact, the other partner Fabricio, who is looking for our branding and everything. It's someone that it's incredible to bring up to speed as well. We are trying, Tiberius, we are betting a lot in this peer-to-peer in everything we're doing, like the BVM. It's to be that, like if you have money, maybe you can invest in impact. If you have just a little bit of money, you can't, unless you know some friend and you can help their company. But you don't have a place that you can put a little bit of your money in regenerative impact today in Brazil, and BVM, it's a little bit of that. And also like these verticals that we are creating in Manifesta, like we don't believe in a big company, a big cosmetic company or something. That's why our thesis is to bring a lot of these small entrepreneurs, regenerative impact entrepreneur, to join them in a network. They're gonna divide all the challenges, like the industry. It's a huge challenge for this kind of market because they're always small and they don't have scale. So like we're trying to take out a little bit of the knots so that they can grow. So the idea in all our verticals, the same thing with the restaurant, it's like to bring together a lot of chefs with this mindset to divide like the same kitchen, the same structure, and they can grow and scale, but as a network. So we're kind of trying to think this out as well. And I'm looking forward for the next steps. Whatever you guys decide, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and feel free, guys, to it's an open invitation for anyone that you feel that resonates with this movement, this initiative here, right? Yes, and the thing is that we're culture beings, right? We're culture and narrative beings. So we need narrative to create culture. So it doesn't come easy because we privilege the rational side of it and the actual ethos of the society that we are, all the societies that we are as a species. But I think that we're doing great here. I really feel resonance, and I think that everyone here feels too. So nice to have you guys. And if anyone wants to give that big hug at the finals, we can end it up, and that's it. And next week it's going to be nice to have you four doing the OCAST experience. I, sorry, I just envisioned that, and I'm not gonna get this out of my mind. So it's going to be nice to have you four guys just talking about it, having an OCAST experience together. So uh, let's see that if Hugo can make this happen with Hannah and Tibi and Walter. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy birthday, Anna.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.